Hey, Manisha here. Welcome back to the channel in a brand new year. I hope you all enjoyed your holidays and had a good start to the year. Last year was a pretty active year of game dev for me, so I thought I should look back and see what I was actually up to. At first I was a little bit hesitant to do a wrapped up video because I only uploaded like 5 times last year, but then I went over things and I was like, wow, I actually did a lot more than I expected. So without further ado, this is 1 year as a game dev hobbyist. The first game jam of the year was the Blackthorn Prod Jam, and the theme was Less is More. I worked with my sister Nadisha, my friend Flo, and Owathir who worked on the music. This game turned out to be a witty, dialogue-driven medieval adventure. It gave me a good idea of how to get a dialogue system set up, and I got to play around with some event-driven programming. Flo did an amazing job on the script by making it funny, but still sound accurate for its time. We even sat down for the video and learned about these interesting Old English terms. It definitely needed a cleaner implementation, but overall I really enjoyed how the dialogue, art, and music came together to give a strong medieval theme. One of my goals for 2021 was to get out of the comfort zone, and this next game really did that for me. Two-Phase was made for the Chainletter Jam on Twitter. The game that tagged me was a word-based, perspective-shifting game, and so my idea was a grid-based game where you would collect letters for a given word, and the words that I chose were of good and bad connotation, and I decided to highlight that in the game through the visuals. The biggest challenge here was creating all the art by myself. This was my first time doing that, and after some pixel art practice, I felt ready to tackle the graphics of this game. I think it came together really well in the end, but it also made me realize that I should probably learn some color theory. Another fun part of this project was creating an arcade controller to play it. This wasn't really difficult since I just put together the pieces in a kit that I bought, and I was lucky that Unity recognized it as a USB controller. This was definitely one of my favorite projects this year, and I really like how the dark themed part of the game came out. I think making it a grid-based word game was an interesting idea. I'd really like to see how it plays on mobile, but that might be a project for the future. Whispers of Life was made for Ludum 48, and it was going to be my first solo weekend jam. I was actually planning to do compo, but I needed to take the extra day in the end. For some reason I avoided making platforming games for a long time, but I wanted to take it a little bit easier this weekend, so I put together a minimal platforming game where the objective is to avoid obstacles and keep the resources up by whispering to flowers. My main fear when it comes to making platforming games is when movement is unsatisfying, so I definitely wanted to perfect that here. So that ended up being a main focus. The relaxing vibes of this game just made it a delightful experience overall. I really loved the tiny world that came together, and I think it really suited the theme of deeper and deeper. And because this was during the spring season, I did get a lot of inspiration from the outdoors. Doing some concept art this time around really got the ball rolling in terms of visuals. So the game does play harder than it looks, but the scrolling level does have an end. I'll definitely be participating in Ludum again, and hopefully this time I'll be able to do compo. In 2021, I opened a community server for all aspiring game devs. I think this is one of the best decisions I made since starting my YouTube journey, because I've met and talked to so many talented people. It's always a fun environment to be in, everyone's always willing to learn and help out, and we even do little game nights here and there. Currently we do a monthly creative jam, and for January we're testing out a coding challenge. We also have a space to talk about the 100 Days of Game Dev Challenge, which is a nice way to talk more about your project and keep each other motivated. So thank you so much for helping me grow this community, and I am super grateful for the support that I have on this channel. And if you haven't joined the Discord yet, we'd love to see you drop by. Starbuds was made for the BTP Jam 2021. A bunch of friends and I had joined together to form the largest team that I've been on for a jam. Speaking of which, the theme was also joined together. I think we decided to torture ourselves by making a puzzle platformer in only 48 hours. Our team consisted of Flo, Vic, John, Owathir, and myself. Vic is a pixel artist by profession, and she really brought the cool aesthetic and animations to this one. I learned a lot in the process of working with her, especially since it was my first time using the tileset grid and sprite sheets. Working with a big team really brought everyone's skills to the table, and it was interesting being the one putting everything together. As always, Oather did an amazing job creating music to match the aesthetic and gameplay, and Flo and John really worked hard with coming up with interesting levels. We overscoped for this one for sure, and it definitely came with bugs and some missing necessities. I really hope that we can do this again, and hopefully in person next time. Oh, Pigeon Post. Man, this jam is one I've been terrified of for a while now. This game was made for the 3-hour Trijam. I asked my other sister, Keisha, and Ricardo, who I met on the Trijam Discord, to join in with me. A trio, which I think is fitting for a Trijam. We knew we had to stick to a very simple mechanic in order to finish in time, so I immediately got started on a delivery game, since the theme was package. Our little pigeon grabs a package from the post office and delivers it to the house of the same color. Ricardo came up with a really catchy tune and some fitting sound effects, and Keisha did a fantastic job on the vector art. We ended up completing the game in about 4.5 hours instead of 3, but luckily they only docked points from the time category. Overall, it was a really thrilling experience taking part in this 3-hour jam, and I'd definitely like to try again to meet the time limit. Co-hosting the N8Jam was definitely another highlight of the year. Game dev YouTuber Nate and I hosted a game jam in August with the theme Break the System, and you all submitted over 80 entries, which is amazing. I spent about 3 days streaming the games, which was also a fresh experience, so forgive me for having so many technical difficulties. I had a blast playing the games, and I was so happy to see that this was a lot of people's first jam. So thank you to all who participated, and thanks Nate for inviting me to collab. Yes, the Fox and the Jewel was made for the N8Jam. Yes, I participated in my own jam. I mean, how else do you win first place, right? Don't worry, I definitely revoked my entry. After witnessing the game jam spirit in the Discord server, I couldn't help but join in the fun. I had about half a week left, so I decided to make a small rhythm-based game. Oather is always willing to help out when I ask if he's available, and I'm always happy to let his talent shine through these games. Making a rhythm game was definitely tricky as it required a lot of fine-tuning, but I think I was able to combine some pretty interesting ideas here. The objective is for the fox to do various robbery tasks, while still hitting the beats at his footsteps. Unfortunately, some of these timings were off, and it seems like impossible mode was actually impossible for some people in the wrong way. I really liked designing this sneaky fox character, even though his walking animation kinda looked like he was dancing. And of course I loved putting together the ending cutscene in Cinemachine, which shows up before displaying the player's score. Although it was rushed, it was definitely a blast taking part alongside everyone else. Hatched was another favorite from this year. I had been meaning to learn Blender's 2D animation system called Grease Pencil ever since I discovered it. To start, I followed some tutorials and I found that the learning curve was a lot easier compared to 3D for me. Originally, I wanted to make this Dino Jam entry completely in Grease Pencil, but finding a workflow to import hand-drawn 3D meshes into Unity was difficult and inconvenient. Through some help from some Discord friends, Elegant Crow and FIFA Foozle, the step into Blender became less terrifying. So thanks so much for the help you gave me. As an alternative method, I learned that I can paint outlines on my models instead. So ultimately, I opted for a mix of 2D and 3D art, and I enjoyed seeing this result. If you haven't noticed already, this pet simulator was inspired by the Tamagotchi games. I asked my little cousin if she wanted to do some voice lines, and it really matched with the cute aesthetic of the game. I also collaborated with Laserknot on the music, and he made 3 amazing tracks to suit the day, evening, and night cycle. I'm really happy I got to experiment with the art this jam, and I hope to delve more into this mix in the future. This year I also plan to collaborate more and work with different people. Game jams gave me a nice push at this, and luckily a lot of people invited me to collaborate. I was able to stream with Unity, which was something I never imagined. I chatted with Mr. Moo about life as a software engineer. I was able to playtest Emily K's game Soul Shepherd, and I was also featured in Helper Weasley and Xanderwood's videos. Recently I got to chat with Annie about why people make games. Thank you so much for having me in your videos, and I hope to be more proactive in asking people to collaborate in the new year. Alright, hang in there folks, we're almost at the end. The Running of the Bulb remix was made for the Devlogs Club event called 50 Game Devs Remake Mario Party. My choice of game was the Nintendo 64 Running of the Bulb minigame, and it ended up being a scrolling shooter. I continued my journey here with Grease Pencil, but this jam was a bit rushed, so I didn't really improve my workflow or skills. Although the game looked way different from the original, it did stay true to the main mechanics of the gameplay. This was also my first time using the new input system and implementing some local co-op. I also had fun coming up with the creepy monsters. Thanks to the Devlogs Club for inviting me to this event. Last but not least, we have Water Wars, which was made for the SeaJam. This game was inspired by the fight system in the Mario and Luigi RPG games. I added a turn-based system and gave my diver character and the enemy its own set of moves. This type of game definitely requires some more planning, and I only worked on it a week, so I found myself referencing moves from the Mario and Luigi games a little too closely. I do like how the theme came together in this one, since it's a polluted fish attacking with garbage, while you play as a diver hoping to clean the cute little guy up. This is basically the premise of the Team C's initiative. I also worked with another cousin of mine on this one, since he's a Mr. Beast fanboy. He created the squid character and helped me come up with lots of great ideas. Unfortunately, we didn't get to complete this game in the time we had, but I think I was running out of steam by the end of the year. Still, it was a fun opportunity, and I'm always happy to try some new game ideas. Wow, what a year that was, huh? Honestly, I'm so glad that I got to experiment with so many different ideas, and I gotta say, the community is definitely one of the best things in game dev. I've been doing game dev for about 8 years now, on and off, but once I immersed myself into the community 2 years ago, I was able to stay more consistent and energized. I'm really happy with all the games I made this year. I think they had strong visuals and distinct themes, but the code definitely needed some more work. The gameplay in most of the games also lacks some depth, so hopefully this year I can put some focus on that. I definitely plan to upload more often this year and work on a long-term project. Working on something longer than a month is something I struggle with, so this year I'm definitely going to put a foot forward to break this little curse of mine. Thanks for sticking with me through the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a little thing or two or got inspired. As long as you can take away something, I'll be happy. So that's all for today. I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!